Um, well, it was one of the first Pokemon games I had played, and one of the first Pokemon games that I like really fell in love with.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's really cool and badass. And if you like Final Fantasy VII, you'll probably like Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness and Colosseum, because it kind of has that like otherworldly, grimy, like techno future feel. It's pretty similar. It's almost pretty similar lore-wise, even to Final Fantasy VII, and a lot of people like Final Fantasy VII. So if you like Final Fantasy VII, you should play Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness and Colosseum. And also the character designs are really, really interesting. And also I like the fact that you can steal other Pokemon, and the fact that the box Pokemon is Lugia, but it's not just Lugia, it's Shadow Lugia. And the cool thing
Shadow
about that
Lugia.
is like, yeah, it's
Shadow
an
Lugia.
unpurable form, an unpurifiable form
Oh my
of
god.
Lugia. Because in the game, they're shadow Pokemon, and usually you can purify them, but
Oh my
Lugia,
god.
the door to its heart is so closed off that you can't purify it. And so how they make shadow Pokemon is they put them in a factory and they manually close off all of their hearts so that they become really strong fighting machines. But it's really, really miserable for the Pokemon because they're like suffering and they go into something called reverse mode where they start hurting themselves. And so like your goal is to like capture all of these Pokemon. And you can steal Pokemon from other trainers, by the way. You can throw balls at them and catch the shadow Pokemon. And so then you have to take them and purify them and like walk around with them and show them that you care about them. And then you take them to this place, it's like a village, it's this grassy village, and there's this ash-like character, and he has a Pikachu, and his name is Egon, and he's this big old man, and you take the Pokemon to the big shrine in the middle of the town, and it purifies them and unlocks the door to their heart, and then they can be regular Pokemon again. And also, when they're shadow Pokemon, they can't evolve or like level up or anything. They're just like pure fighting machines, and they can only know shadow moves, and they can't learn any other moves. So it's beneficial to purify the shadow Pokemon, but the shadow Lugia, you can't purify it. You can't, it's not possible because it's just like, it's too closed off. But also that
Damn.
makes it like really cool, because the cool thing about Shadow Lugia is like it has the color. It's like purple and like dark blue and like black and stuff, and it's really, really cool. And my favorite Pokemon generation is 2, and I really like Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Like Soul Silver was the first mainline Pokemon game that I really, really, really enjoyed. But I love Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness and Colosseum way more. Like as video games, they're probably like my favorite games of all time. But I think in terms of like regular mainline Pokemon games, Soul Silver and Heart Gold are some of the best games to exist. And I really, really like Lugia, and I got Soul Silver, and it made me love Lugia even more. So like Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, I really, really like it because it like has Shadow Lugia. But I do want to mention that I think that Pokemon Black and White is probably where the series peaked, and honestly, we didn't know what we had when we had it. But for me, like, the Pokemon games closest to my heart are Soul Silver and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, and they both just happen to have Lugia in it. And I do want to mention that my first Pokemon game was Pokemon Snap, which, like, isn't like
Pokemon
a real
what?
Pokemon game. Pokemon Snap, and it's a game where you take pictures of
Isn't
Pokemon and
Pokemon
you like
Snap like a new game? So you just got
no.
into Pokemon? Wait, what?
The first Pokemon Snap
Oh
came out
god.
in like 1998 for the Nintendo 64, and the new one, it's called New Pokemon Snap because it's a new Pokemon Snap, and it came out for the Nintendo Switch, and it's actually really, really good. And I bought it like when it came out, like not thinking too much of it, but it brought back so much for me. Like when I played it on stream the entire time, I don't think I've ever been happier in my life, and I played it on stream, and like it was so good and it's so beautiful, and they added new Pokemon in it, and like Man, when it was over, I know it's like just a game about taking pictures of Pokemon, but like when it ended, I cried. I cried on stream and it was really, really embarrassing, but it just like brought back so much. And I really, really like I can't see pictures in my head, but I have pictures of that I saved from playing Pokemon Snap on like my Nintendo Switch like on stream, and I took a bunch of pictures of Quagsire on stream, and I didn't tell anybody this, but like after I played, I went back and I played more like off of stream just to go take pictures of Quagsire more. And so like I have a bunch of pictures of Quagsire on my Nintendo Switch, and just like going through them makes me really happy because Quagsire is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. Actually, I just traded for a Pokemon card today. It's actually a Kangaskhan card, but it's like a full art and it has Quagsire, and it looks like the Quagsire and the Kangaskhan are talking together. And the reason why are you
I'm listening.
listening?
I'm still listening. Yeah, talk about your new
And
Quagsire. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I got this Quagsire card today that I traded for, and like I know that it wasn't worth as much as the card I traded for because I got this really cool full art Giovanni card from the new sets. It's called Destined Rivals, but I collect Quagsire and Wooper cards because they're like my favorite Pokemon, and I also really like Clodsire. I actually have
I love
models of
Quagsire.
Wooper and Clodsire, but with my like crown and bow on them,
Oh my god.
and so I collect cards, but there's this one card. Oh my god. And it's like a Gardevoir EX card, but I need it because it has Wooper in the background and he's like pogging, but it's like $80 because it's a Gardevoir card and it's full
Holy
art
crap.
because people love to jerk off.
To
And that's
Gardevoir.
really like the only thing I can think of. But Wooper and Quagsire are like two of my favorite Pokemon of all time. I have a giant Slowpoke though too. I really like Slowpoke. I have a big Slowpoke stuffed animal in my room. I
You like
just
the
got it. It's
fat
really cool.
round guys. You like the fat round. Even Lugia is kind of fat and round.
Yeah. No, he's not fat.
Lugia is like got a little belly.
Okay, a little bit. But I feel like that's because of his tail though.
Yeah, true, true.
Yeah.
Okay.
And oh, and in Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, like in the beginning, I think another reason I like Quagsire so much is because like in the beginning, like there's a Pokemon lab, and when I was a kid and I was playing Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, like I didn't know how to get out of the Pokemon lab because I was kind of stupid. And I was a kid, so like games are way harder when you're a kid and you don't really know what to do. And
True.
so like in the lab, there's this one room where people are like sitting. It's like a break room, and next to the TV there's a Quagsire and a Psyduck, and they're standing there. And when you talk to them, the Quagsire goes like "Roar," and the Psyduck goes like "Roar," and they're like feeling really weird because the TV is like making noises, like you know how they used to like when everybody was on CRT still, and it goes like really loud and shrill in the background. And so like they're both holding their heads and like stimming out in that room and just like standing there with the Psyduck and the Quagsire. Like when I was a kid and I didn't know how to get out of the laboratory, it just like made me like Quagsire more. And like it makes sense too because Quagsire and Wooper were both introduced in Gen 2, and Gen 2 is like my favorite. But I still think that Soul Silver and Heart Gold are better than Silver and Gold. Crystal is good too, obviously, because it has the extra content. And usually if you get a Pokemon game, you're gonna want to get like the third one. Like obviously Crystal, Emerald, and Platinum are probably the ones you're gonna want to get if you want to get into any of the games because it has all of the good stuff in it, and it has like the extra Pokemon like Giratina or like Rayquaza or whatever. But I genuinely think that people, if they ever want to make a sequel for their game, they should look to Soul Silver and Heart Gold for reference, because I think that it may be the greatest sequel to anything ever, or like the greatest remake rather, because it like holds up it holds up to this day. Like it still looks really good, and it's on the DS of all things. It's on the DS and it still looks really, really good. Like we really peaked there. We didn't know what we had when we were in that
That's
era
so
of
true.
gaming, but like they took everything from the original game and they just made it 110% better, and they brought like a bunch of stuff in. And even if people are kind of like, I don't like this new game because it doesn't have all my favorite things and the music used to be better, but they added like a bunch of stuff to cater to people like that too, like GBA sound. So if you want to like listen to
That
the
is so
old
true.
music, then you can listen to it still, and that's really cool. And so that's why I like Quagsire and Wooper, because they're both Gen 2 Pokemon, and they kind of look like me. They got that big, like, long smile, and they're blue, and they're really cute, and, like, they're water type, and I don't know. I just think they're really charming, and they look kind of sleepy, and I'm kind of sleepy. I look like this.
Oh my god! That's literally Quagsire!
Anyway, what were we talking about before that? Oh yeah, and it's really, really cool. Actually, somebody brought up a good point in the chat, because one thing that is super cool about Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness and like Lugia in both is, wow, I can't believe you knew that. You were really, really smart. I don't know who brought that up in the chat, but it's true that, like, in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they actually do reference Shadow Lugia in the song. Like, so you go in... Oh my god, the music in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver is just, like, so freaking good. I think one of my favorite themes of all time, like, I love Soul Silver, but... and don't get me wrong, I think it's better just because I like Lugia more, but I think one of the best Pokemon songs of all time might be Ho-Oh's battle theme, and people are really sleeping on it. Like, it's really good. I think we need to hear it remixed, but it's true that Shadow Lugia, they reference the battle theme in the Lugia theme for Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and I think that's really cool. But yeah, I think Ho-Oh's theme might be better. Just, like, in terms of being catchy, and also, like, it kind of makes sense because Ho-Oh is kind of, like, the Johto Pokemon, and I don't really want to take that away from them. One thing I felt kind of bad about when I was playing Soul Silver when I was a kid was I was like, dang, I feel like Ho-Oh is so much more important because, like, the burned tower is right in the middle of Ecruteak City, and, like, you could just go there. Like, you just see it. It's, like, right in the middle of Johto. And so I felt kind of sad about it, and you have to, like, go out of your way to go to the Whirl Islands. But I guess it makes sense because Ho-Oh is kind of, like, the leading figure for Johto, so I'm not going to be too sad about it. Especially because Lugia is, like, kind of big everywhere else. Like, everybody likes Lugia, and Lugia gets a lot of rep, like for Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. But the problem with Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness is it released at the end of the GameCube's lifespan, and it was a sequel to a game that didn't sell well. And I don't know if you know this, Jelly, but, like, the GameCube was not selling good for Nintendo. Like, compared to a lot of Nintendo consoles, the GameCube wasn't a very, like, big thing for them because there was, like, this big overarching idea at the time, like, games have to be cool, and I'm, like, older now and I need to play cool games, and the GameCube was, like, for babies and stuff. And so, like, the GameCube didn't sell well to begin with. Everybody wanted a PS2, and it played movies. And the GameCube didn't play movies because the GameCube used micro discs. And so, yeah, and so, like, Coliseum came out, and it didn't, like, sell too well to begin with. But then they released Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, and it released in 2005, like, right before the Wii came out at the end of the GameCube's lifespan. And so barely anybody bought it, and which is why it's such an expensive game now. And so, like, I want to say Lugia gets a lot of rep, but I feel like Lugia doesn't get enough rep because Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness just, like, it didn't get around. And every single time I talk about Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, people have no idea what I'm talking about.
That's true.
Jelly,